So we'll be able to get that all welded back together. Heat this up here, straighten that back. So we've got that all welded back together. Ended up welding it on both sides. Well, a year ago, we ended up putting all brand new discs on this Pottinger Terra disc, and we're having trouble with some of the hubs are turning. So we ended up taking all the discs off, and we've got to go through and replace the different hubs that are not staying tight on this arm here. Like this one here is tight, that one's tight, that one's tight, this one's loose, and it will not tighten up. This arm here, oh, it's kind of like a concaved end, and that's a tapered arbor, and as that goes in there, the tighter it gets, the tighter everything stays to keep the actual spindle, if you will, from turning. So we've got to replace quite a few of those, and in order to really work on one, you got to have the other disc off, so it was easier to just take all them discs off of there. There's 48 discs on this unit. This is a 6001 model, meaning it is 6 meters wide, and it's roughly 20 feet. Here are the discs that we have taken off, and like I said, we had put all of them on new here a year ago. So we've got to get some parts for this. And we've also got some grease zerks that don't really want to take grease, so we've got to address that. We've got a couple of broken bolts on here that we've got to get fixed as well. So we're going to have to get some parts for it and get these problems addressed on this unit here. Jared has got the engine rolled over into the upright position here now. He's got all his pistons in there. He's got the head on it, and he's just going through now, and he's torquing down all of the head bolts. When I went to take Andrew to the field, he was just getting this rolled over. You must have put the oil pump on.
Yeah, I put it on before we rolled it over.
Okay. And he's got it setting on the jack stands here. He ended up moving the frac tank and some manure tanks around and whatever today, and he didn't get as far as he wanted to get on this here today, but it's slamming together here pretty quick, really. It's starting to actually look like an engine again.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, he's just got to keep at it here, and we'll join back up with you tomorrow once we realize, or once we figure out what we can get for parts for that Pottinger Terra disc. And these guys are going to be moving manure. Newton's coming with one of his tankers to help Jared haul, and we're running out of manure. We're getting down towards the bottom here now, so yeah. Well, we'll join back up with you tomorrow. Well, it's not every day that we offload one truck into the other. We're on a back road that's probably 3 miles away from the farm. I turned the intersection. Travis was up ahead of me. I heard this truck clunking quite a bit, and I called him. I said, "You got a broken wheel or something?" Because we've seen that before. And once I got close enough to him, I could see this inside wheel on the right rear corner flopping like you know, just flopping around quite a bit. So it just broke, and it's actually cracked down at the bottom. So we wanted to offload this so that we weren't working with something so damn heavy, and we're going to be able to utilize the service truck here. So this is the second service call, quote unquote. that we've been on with this thing since we put it together. So looks like he's about empty, and we'll get this thing jacked up. We don't want to drive it home because we don't want to ruin the studs on this hub. That's if they're not ruined already here. So we'll get this thing jacked up and get them wheels off of there. We might have ruined the outside rim too, because usually what they do is they chafe against each other, and if that inside wheel is ruined, we'll have to replace that too. So I got 2 new rims in the back of the truck here, and we're gonna get working on it here. So yeah, she's full. She's full. Hammer down. This is the way to do it, though. You haven't got to travel so far, you know? It's a shuttle. It's relaying. We're relaying. Yeah. Alright, so that tire switched over easy. It's nice and warm out. We're able to mount that without even using the cheetah here. So we had to bring another tire over because we have one that is splitting apart here on the inside sidewall. I don't know if you can see that in there or not. You can see that separation. So that casing is going to come off here shortly, so we're going to change that one as long as we're over here as well. It did not hurt the studs or the hub. He caught this just in time, and this is probably the best brake I have seen in a while. This is going to weld back together very nicely. As you can see, it didn't chew itself up too bad, and we've got just about a perfect center here. Usually when they break, that wheel will end up spinning on the outside here, and it'll chew it all down, and it leaves too much of a gap to weld. So we'll be able to get that all welded back together, heat this up here, straighten that back, get that welded, and then we'll weld this crack right here as well. So that's going to work out nicely. We'll get some paint on there, and you won't even know the difference. It'll look just like that one up there. So we'll get that back to the shop, get this wheel on there, let it down, jack up that front axle, and rip that tire off there as well. Alright, we've got the back set of duals on. We backed it up on a block so we can get the jack underneath there. We've got the front one broke loose. Now we're just going to drive the truck up on a block on the front drive axle. Once we get off that one, and we're going to put this here like this. He's going to back up. We'll try to get away with not having to jack that front axle up. The inside bead broke, so that's usually half the problem. That's good. Alright, now we'll dismount that one, get that tire mounted on there. We're going to send him on his way. This way we won't have to retorque that front drive hub. This one we're going to have to retorque several times, and keep an eye on it. Well, we're going to air this up, and we're going to get on out of here. I'll show you what the sidewall of this tire here looks like. Looks good while it's sitting here, but you can see she's got an opening there. So this tire coupled with that rim is going to make a great outfit. So we're going to get back to the shop, going to get that wheel welded up, get that tire mounted on there, and that's going to make for a decent spare. Right?
It's going to make a great spare.
Yeah. That'd get us out of a pickle like this, you know, get us home anyways, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe even if it works fine, put some tire goop on that tire, and might be all right. We could try to re-vulcanize it.
Rubber cement.
Yeah. That tire went on a lot easier than we thought, just because of the sun is working on everything here. Usually when these tires are cold, they give you a problem mounting them up the right way on the floor. So yeah. Well, we're into the following day here now, and yesterday, just before we went and worked on Travis's problem with that broken wheel, Jared had a problem with a 900 here. He had some grinding and then some vibrating kind of feeling, some vibration and some noises and whatever, and we really thought it was in the transmission. So we unhooked the trailer. We went for a ride with it after I got back from helping Travis get going. We pulled the drive axles out, and I'll just throw in a little bit of a clip here from when I was trying to explain last night what was going on here, but it was just too much background noise. You couldn't hear me talking, but we took the drive axles out. So that we could run the differentials and just have it running in place. And we were bound and determined that the noise came from the front diff. So then we took the back diff off, the drive shaft off the back diff, so that we could eliminate that one. And then it was obviously coming from this front differential here. Now last year, I don't know if it was middle of the summer or before fall, we had a problem with this differential. If you recall that video there, we took this rear end right out and fixed it with it out from underneath the truck. This differential here is going to be a little harder to do that way, so we're taking it out like everybody else would do. We're just pulling the differential apart, taking the power divider out the front here, and we'll show you what things look like here in a minute. Actually, I could show you right now, kinda. You could see a lot of pieces down in that casing there. We got some pieces broke off of that ring gear. And what had happened to this is it had a bolt come loose, or actually it was a couple of bolts, wasn't it, Jared?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
He was actually at the gas station one day, went in to get a cup of coffee, come out and seen a puddle of oil, a little larger than that, underneath the differential. So he called the boys, they came over, they tightened up the rest of the bolts, had a couple missing, put oil in it, and we probably should have pulled it apart then. That's kind of what happened there. We've had some differential trouble on this, but what you guys have got to understand is we're hauling heavy, and we've got a lot of horsepower up front. I did a video back a while ago where we pulled out and around a Detroit 60 series engine and been getting some slap talk about this engine being bigger and all that crap. Well, that's the problems with larger horsepower. You got bigger problems. So they're gonna get this ripped out of there, and what they've done is they've got it hanging from the chain to just kind of get it pulled out, and then they could kind of drop it down on the floor and yank it out of there. So it's not the greatest working places, but we got this guy here. He's just small enough he can get right in there. And
Leave my Jason alone. He's gonna quit, go home, all, and have no one to help me with. It must be, it's up in the power divider.
no, it's right there, that bearing right there on the end of the input shaft.
So maybe it's
Isn't that the one that we did on the John Deere truck too?
No, they did the input,
Was that the
yeah.
input one?
So Jay's got some recycled parts that came out of the case, and then the only thing that we can see right off the bat is the bearing on the rear side of the input shaft. That is gone on it, and I thought I seen, yeah, this ring gear is shot. We've got some broken teeth on it from the pieces of the bearing flying around inside the case here. So What they're gonna do is they're gonna take this out to Fry or Fleet Pride, and they'll see if they've got one that we can just exchange, and so we can get this back going again. So we've just got to pull our yoke off the front here, and well, I don't know, you got to call around first. There ain't any sense in muscling that yoke off if they've got to rebuild this one. So yeah,
Probably gonna want to.
yeah. So there is all the parts that are down in there. I mean, Jay took out a handful, but there's 4 or 5 more handfuls in there. So yep, that's what happens. Well, we've got some tire issues that we're working on here now. You can't quite see this because the air is going out of it, but it is crowned. We must have a belt broke, a steel belt broke inside the tire here. And Tim felt it was gonna blow at any point in time, so he's actually taking the air out of the tire before he, what's this, stuck on the hub? No.
No, just
afraid to handle it too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, tires that do this are kind of dangerous. That one did the same thing.
It's pretty worn. It's got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You know?
So, we've had maybe 4 to 6 tires do that so far.
Yeah, I remember not long after we put these on, that number.
Had one bad, and then 14 had one, and yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's just a.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a little rain shower. Lucan's ended up washing that tractor off. It's the 8360, and the O-ring that sits on top of or underneath the lid on the oil filter housing split and ended up blowing oil all down the side of the engine. So he ended up rinsing all that off. And he ended up washing the tractor too. So we've got the 9560 back in the shop here. A couple of the videos I did there with the girls chisel plowing, you could kind of hear this creaking a little bit while we were turning. And I ended up calling Jake, and I said, I don't know if I've got a steering valve bad. I hope I don't have a gudgeon bearing, which would be the heavy bearings at the articulation joint going. Now, I did have to heat up that pin on that other side because it wouldn't, I don't know if I heated it up. I think I just took it out, cleaned out the grease circle on that other side. So luckily it wasn't anything to do with that, and he said it's probably going to be the packings in the cylinder, and if you put your ear right up next to the cylinder you could hear it creaking. So we're going to redo the packings on that. We've got this piston, or the cylinder rather, the rod, ready to be pulled out. We've got the snap ring removed from the very end here. We push that in, and we've got the little plastic ring that fits down in the groove because there's a heavy snap ring on the actual cylinder end there, and we've got to pull that past it, and then we can put the new packings on the piston itself. We also had a controller issue, which he found to be in the rear wire harness on the back end of the tractor here, and we've had some problems with this in the past, and the previous owner had some wire harness issues, and they ended up replacing the tail end of that, and there was some green wires in there and whatever. So there's like, I don't know, 12 or 16 wires in that wire loom, and he had to go through and figure out what did what and what was causing the problems, and he ended up finding it. That ends up coming into the SCVs, and then this is the ISO bus for the implement to get all your different settings or whatever. And this is all that has is just 8 pins on there, and then that transfers all your data from your implement, whether it be like a corn planter with section control and all that crap, but it's all linked to that plug there. So we're gonna try to get this cylinder rod pulled out of here. We'll get this side done, and then we'll have to move the tractor around and get the other side done. Well, Jake was right. He said that was going to come right out of there. I had a heck of a time pushing that end back in, and it walked its way out of there. We've done these, we've done cylinders like this before on the payloader, and the payloader actually came out harder than that, but you could actually push the rod back and forth. So I'm going to clean this up and get the packings redone on it, and roll over and do the other side. All right, we have this all ready to go back together. I ended up pulling all of the old O-rings off. We had a heck of a time getting this packing here, this top end or the end of the actual cylinder barrel itself. We had a heck of a time getting it off this rod. This inside wiper, if you will, that was impacted with a little bit of rust on the inside here, and that's probably where a lot of our creaking noise was coming from, was just the O-rings being so damn tight on the actual cylinder rod itself. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to put this in the vise just to kind of hold it into place. I'll push this end down on there, and once I get the end on it, I'll put the actual piston itself on the end of the rod. Now I made sure to take this snap ring here and zip tie it to the end of the eye of the cylinder there, just so that I didn't forget it, because I've done that before too. So you get it all together, and then you go to put it in the barrel, and then you realize that you don't have the snap ring here. This snap ring here goes over the end of this cylinder, and you push this in, and actually it'll pull itself out. You push this in so that this end of the cylinder end is sticking out, and then the snap ring keeps it from falling in, and then this inner snap ring here keeps the end of the cylinder from coming out. All right, so we've got this end pushed on there. I mean, that pushed on there by hand. You've seen how easy that went on there. And then now we've got the piston on the end of the rod. I have to get some Loctite so that I can Loctite this nut on there. I am fresh out of that. So we'll have to get some Loctite, Loctite that nut on there, hit it with a big impact, and then we can send that cylinder into, send this rod actually into that cylinder. All right, we're back to working on this cylinder. I didn't have any Loctite, and I called Napa, and I said tomorrow's fine. The amount of time it took me to clean this bench off, they were here. So we're gonna put some Loctite on there, jam that nut on there so that that won't come off. Everybody is left for the night, and Jared, he's actually putting the rockers in this engine here, so we'll peek in on him quickly. He's got everything kind of going together here. Rockers will go in. What are you gonna do? Adjust the valves and then slam the injectors in?
Yeah, because it'll be easier to adjust them, and it'll be easier to adjust them without the injector in, because the injector goes right in this hole here, so you'll be able to get your feeling gauge a lot easier.
So this is what he's working on. I don't know how far he'll get tonight, but just kind of working on this, hit and miss, being that it's raining today. So another thing that we've got that we're gonna do, if you recall in the last video here, we ended up breaking a wheel on the side of the road, and this rim is in real good shape, and we're gonna weld this back together after we get this cylinder together and get it back in the tractor. So let's get this done, and then we'll get this wheel welded back together. We'll get it all cleaned up, get some paint on there, and I'm gonna show you, you're not even gonna know the difference between this broken wheel and a brand new wheel here. So let's get this done. Yeah.
How long has this been here?
I just came here a little while ago. 3 o'clock. All right, folks, we ended up abandoning this job. I've got to get some help. I need about 4 hands to hold that snap ring in so I can put that cylinder end in. I ended up welding up this truck rim here that broke yesterday. And as you can see, it went together here pretty good. The whole center of it broke out, and then just before the center broke out, it ended up cracking along this hand hole here, and it ended up walking along the circumference of the rim here. So we've got that all welded back together. Ended up welding it on both sides, and it went together very nicely. So we're gonna get a tire mounted up on this tomorrow, and that's gonna work good for a spare. So we'll come back at you tomorrow. What we're gonna do is we'll get that cylinder together, back the tractor outside, back it in so we can work on the right-hand side from where the forklift is so we can pull that cylinder apart as well. So that is gonna do it for tonight, and we'll come back at you tomorrow.